Meeting of the Tyler ISD Board of Trustees is called to order. There's a presence of the quorum. The meeting has been duly called and the notice of the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. Thank you all for coming out today. We will get right down to business here. Any public participation? No public participation. Okay, we have a safety and security update, fall update.
As part of the board's governance monitoring calendar, adopted annually, and that's coming up, by the way, we've got Agent Jeff Millslagle, our Director of Safety Security. We also have Danny Brown here as far as our Chief of Police. He's in the back, but presenting today is going to be Agent Millslagle. We do this 2 times a year, and we certainly appreciate Agent Millslagle doing what he's been doing during a pretty challenging time in his life, been Johnny on the spot and working pretty hard, especially with everything that's been thrown at us, over the summer. So we're going to let Agent Millslagle present to the board the fall safety and security update.
Good morning, everyone. President Washman, board, Dr. Crawford, Ms. Orr. I'm so glad to see you guys today. A lot has transpired since I last was here, as Dr. Crawford said, personally, but even more so in the safety and security throughout the state of Texas. So I'm going to kind of go over what we've done and where we're going. And you guys feel free to ask questions at any time. First of all, we added security gates and fencing at Early College and Rise because it was a wide open campus there. We had our safety and security meeting, the quarterly meeting, back in June. And thank goodness we did, because that is now a very specific requirement, again, by TEA and the School Safety Center. It may change a little bit as we get into the October meeting. My guys, Dave and Peter and myself, have met with Tyler Fire and going all over the fire codes. So what can be on the walls, on the ceilings, what cannot be. And we spent days with our city fire marshal. We're preparing for October, and that is Fire Awareness Month. And been very successful in working with them. Over the last 2 weeks, the City of Tyler Bomb Squad, the fire department, has been practicing at Hogg in case there is ever an incident involving one of our campuses. So we've teamed up with them. We've also teamed up with the City of Tyler Police Department and their SWAT team. So they have access to our properties so they can get in. Bus cameras are about 65% of the way done. There's been some issues with COVID technology and a health problem with them. Should be done by the end of the month. And the smart sensors have been hitting it out of the park. Thank you for allowing us to install 72 of those. It has been extremely successful. And Chief says when we talk, what's it all about? It's vape, vape, vape. So the kids are understanding you're not to be vaping on the property, and if you do, we're going to catch you and there will be consequences. The Crisis Go teams have met. I've met and trained on the threat assessments. Lori Anderson has been hitting it out of the park. That is going to be a new requirement coming up from TEA and the School Safety Center, that everyone must be trained on these threat assessments. Now we get into the newest thing. Since May the 25th, the unfortunate incident down south, TEA and the School Safety Center have come out with a whole bunch of new rules and regulations that we must follow. And they kicked them off immediately in June. And the first was a targeted partial safety audit. As you're aware, every 3 years, we're required to do an audit, submit it to the state. Well, this was kind of a mini audit. This mini audit does not replace what we're going to be starting in October for the next 9 months, and that's the full audit for all campuses. So Dave, Peter, and myself have been going to the campuses. We fulfilled that obligation and are waiting to upload the results of that to the Texas School Safety Center. In addition, they're making us do weekly audits, and that means physically put hands on the doors of all exterior doors of our campuses. So the guys, along with Chief's folks, have been testing the doors, and if one is broke or if one is propped open, we address it immediately. That is the #1 priority, are these doors. These inspections are certified every Friday, And when they come, and they're coming, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, we must present our written findings to the inspector that's coming. They've also asked that all districts rewrite their emergency operations plan. We did this last year, but now it's a new template. And they had to have a active shooter index, which we had, but they asked to do a template. There's going to be about 15 more templates coming out in the next month or so that we'll have to do. And we're prepared for that. In fact, it's a cut and paste from what we have. But there's additional annexes that they're going to be required. Cybersecurity, facilities, and maintenance, which have never been seen before. Now, the intruder audits. The governor, TEA, School Safety Center, Region 7, have scheduled intruder audits. And what this will happen, beginning on or about October the 14th, Dr. Crawford will be notified of a 30-day window in which an auditor will attempt to gain entry into one of our campuses. We don't know which campus, we don't know which day, but there'll be a 30-day window. They will approach the campus, they will rattle 3 doors. If they are able to make entry, they will put on a timer how long it takes for one of our employees to identify this person and bring them to the front office. If they are unable to get in, which is that is what every school district is hoping for, they will be taken to the front office. They will be raptured in like any visitor, and they will contact Dave, Peter, or myself. We will meet them there, and we will present to them our door audits physically. And so they'll look it over and make sure it's all signed off and proper. And then we will take that individual around the school for every single door. Now, everybody says, well, if it's propped open, what happens? And that's to be determined, but we will have 40 days to identify who did it, why it was done, and how are we going to remedy this so it never happens again. As of last Friday, we were allowed to do the timed doors if there were teachers outside on playgrounds. That is no longer the case. We must have a live body on any door that's open. So in the morning, in the afternoon, at times at the CTC bus routes, I was there yesterday, they had 6 administrators watching the buses come in. So any time door that's open, there needs to be a live body there. We've explained this last night and yesterday to the principals and the coaches, but it is our responsibility to put a live body at that door. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and we'll comply with what they want. So that's coming. So hopefully we will not be found any findings. I don't like findings, and neither do you. So what's going on next month is we are going to hopefully start installing smart sensors for vaping in our middle schools. Unfortunately, the vaping problem is not limited to our high schools. In fact, it's down to the elementary school level, which is absolutely shocking to me. Film will be installed at Tyler High. It was supposed to be done starting Tuesday. The wrong film was sent. It is going to be frosted on the inside, so you can't see when we do a drill, lockdown, lights, locks, and out of sight. This film will be done all the way around the library, if you will, that lower spot in those classrooms there. We are obtaining additional law enforcement equipment. Thank you very much for budgeting that for our law enforcement folks and Danny Brown's crew. And then, as I said earlier, we must add additional hazard-specific annexes. All this must be done according to Region 7 and the Texas School Safety Center on or before October the 12th. But as of today, I don't have the templates. And that's kind of where we're at and where we're going. So I'm open to any questions you'd like.
Okay, thank you, Agent Millslagle. Anybody have any questions for?
In regards to the smart sensors, will parents have the opportunity to view those if their child is supposedly caught on it?
I don't have an answer to that. I can find that out for you.
Okay.
But the communications department has put out a PSA to everybody. The kids know they're there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
The way that that's done is it's triangulated from an alert that goes to a phone or email, and then the camera pulls up. And that's how we triangulate all of that. And then they're obviously searched. And possessions, obviously, they say it's 9/10 of the law, but it's probably more than that. So, you know, if it's on them, it's on them.
Yeah.
And so the ones that you're probably wondering about is whenever they don't have it on them.
Right.
And that sometimes happens, so. But there's other field testing things to do in regard to that individual student, as far as their, you know, if they've been smoking THC or something, then the police officer would be able to detect that. Used to, if they were smoking something they weren't supposed to smoke, you could smell their fingers, and that would be just as good for an administrator to figure out. But these vape things have these,
Yeah.
they're scented. So you don't have that strong marijuana smell. So it's a game, it's a whack-a-mole game, and absolutely there's ways to present that. If there is the opportunity of a kid gets caught with that and they use the cameras to do that, the parent does have a right to look at that. I think through open records requests is typically how we do that, because there might be other kids we need to blur out, and et cetera, so.
Okay.
Agent Millslagle, I just want to say I appreciate all the hard work that you and your team are doing. I know just in my time on the board, we are leaps and bounds ahead of where we were when I first got here. So I know you have a lot to do with that, and appreciate all the hard work you put in.
Thank you, and it is a team effort from everyone.
When the state came out with their newest list of requirements, did you feel like, oh, these are things we've pretty much done, or, oh, well, we got to do this?
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
We're ahead of the
Right.
curve. It doesn't mean something can't happen, but we're ahead of it. And the stuff I've had to rewrite is, these were rather lengthy. These are much shorter. And that indicates to me that they'll take a closer look at all school districts, because it's a
Yeah.
template. But we're light years ahead of where we were.
Yeah, ever since you've come on, it seems like every month you're up here telling us about something that we're doing, or Marty's reporting something that we're doing at an individual campus or district-wide. And I want to reiterate what Aaron said. Thank you to you and your team for helping keep our kids safe, and our staff as well.
Appreciate that.
And on a different note, man, you have been in our prayers, I'm telling you. And I'm just really, really happy to see you up here. And I'm sure I'm not happier than you are, but we have been thinking about you and praying for you, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'll be leaving here to pay a little visit to the 6th floor, and then I'm heading to Houston for more testing. But
Right.
remission is the word, as I say, faith, family, and friends. You can't get through this cancer without it.
Yeah. Well, good luck, and we'll continue to be praying for you, man.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Washman, just real quick, just a couple of things, just stay up there, Agent Millslagle. So this emergency operations plan that was also presented on there, obviously, we don't want to publish that for obvious reasons. Giving the playbook to the bad guys is something we don't do. If y'all want to view that, contact myself or Agent Millslagle for that viewing. The other thing is, remember, before this state mandated 3 times a year safety security team, community-wide team that we have, that you sit on and Dr. Nation sits on, we also meet monthly as a Safe TISD team. That's the internal team that focuses daily on this stuff. And we've been doing that since 2019. So you asked the question, did you feel good about the things that were rolled out? And I think we want to make sure we say that publicly, that this is not foreign to us. We kind of saw the landscape, especially after Santa Fe, and what we needed to do. And certainly combined with our police department, which is the 3rd largest in Smith County, and one of the largest police agencies in East Texas, we've got a lot of people with their eyes on this. And being a former smaller school superintendent, we call it small school, but it's tough when you don't have the personnel to be able to do that, and you don't have the resources and the scale to be able to do that. And we do have some concerns on the door checking. If that's going to be a routine thing for the rest of our lives, 3 guys plus the 20 or so police officers that we have and administrators that we have, and documenting all that. Like, you know, somebody asked me, Claude Lane asked the other day, the Claude father said, can we not just put a sign-in sheet by every door like they do bathrooms? And we just don't think that that's the way to do it. So we're going to have to figure out something digitally. If there's a vendor out there listening to this, if you've got something we can do a handheld on a Palm Pilot, there's old school for you. We would love to hear from you. So that's the EOP. If you want to see that, certainly you've got either your two board members that you can rely upon on that safety and security team, or you can come by the office and take a look at that digitally, because we don't want those printed and disappearing and getting out there. The film that he referenced was bullet resistant film.
Correct.
Okay, it's that stuff that would shatter, if you saw that. So I want to make sure that that was publicly said out there. We've got a lot of that. There's finally available.
Yes.
Because of supply chain, inflationary stuff that we've been dealing with, and the petroleum industry, believe it or not, their influence on the making of that film, it's just now becoming readily available again. So all the gas stuff that we experienced over the last year has really affected some of that. And then, oh, by the way, you do have safety and security training. Some of y'all have completed, and we would like y'all to have that completed. Needs to be completed, has to be completed by September 30th. I don't remember the actual bill on that, but I do know that the folks that we internally, Gina told me today that we have had everybody comply, everyone's taken it. Even Mr. Jones has actually finished his training. So just reminder to the board, if you need a reminder on that, we'll send something else back out to you and help you get registered for that as well.
I have a quick question. You said that the past 2 days y'all been talking to the principals about the surprise audit that might happen. So will they then go back to the campuses and kind of notify all their staff, like this is, get them prepared?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Okay.
I will be visiting at Tyler High with Mr. Lane and his entire staff
Gotcha.
this afternoon. Peter behind me is going to be visiting at Moore.
Okay.
So an email was sent out with the 9 points of here's what's about to happen, and share
So
that.
staff
And
will
we're
know.
willing to go and talk to them about it, because they're going to have a ton of questions. They already have. But it is going to happen. It's not, we're guaranteed.
Yeah, they're supposed to send an email by Friday or Monday, depending if they do an end of the week or a beginning of the week email, and have a staff meeting before the day that they can start calling me.
Correct.
So everybody in the district shall have that happen, as far as communique, and then an actual in-person meeting as well.
And then next year, beginning January 1st, according to what they've said as of last week, 75% of all campuses will have an intruder audit. That's a lot of campuses throughout the state of Texas. I don't know how it's physically going to be done, but we'll be on notice again January 1st that they're coming. So,
They'll hire a bunch of contractors.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So, yep.
and by the next time I come to see you, we'll have a report on how did we do at the first intruder.
Chief, we the board allocated in their budget additional police officers, and we think we've got 3 identified pretty soon. Of course, we lost 1 to another police department, and then we've got 3 that are coming on. So that challenge is evident out there. It's not just it's not just hard to hire teachers. Law enforcement is also suffering as far as the availability of staff, and we've done some tweaking, some market evaluation of police officer compensation, and we're very competitive now in regard to that, being able to hire competitively. So, I think we're doing the things that we possibly can. It's a great work environment, but typically police officers you got to want to work in schools. Just like those of us that choose education. You're choosing education. So if you don't want to work in schools, they're not just going to come running towards us. But what an admirable opportunity for those of y'all that are out there that do have your certification. We'd love to talk with you about it.
Comment. Wanted to thank you and your staff for Tyler High the traffic control that you're doing over there now looks much better, looks safer, and hopefully we can go forward with the other things that we want to accomplish as well. But I do appreciate that.
Thank you very much. That goes to Chief Brown and his officers out there on the loop.
We do have some kiddos that are crossing, going across, and then they get down there by the Dollar General, and then they jump back across the road. It's playing Frogger. So, but the good thing is our little makeshift school zone crosswalk is backing traffic back up to 110, so it's kind of at a crawl. So whenever they decide to play Frogger, it's not as treacherous as it used to be. But thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. Thank you for your report.
You bet. You guys have a great afternoon.
You too. Safe travels.
I will.
Okay, safety and security fall update, just did that. Let's have our enrollment update.
Yeah, this time every year, we like to give you a little snapshot of what the enrollment looks like. Obviously, the snapshot for the district won't occur until about the last Friday of October. I think it's October 28th or so, somewhere around there. We're going to have Tasha Bjork, our CFO, present the enrollment counts to y'all. And if y'all have any questions, she'll be able to answer those for you. So, Ms. Bjork, you have a microphone.
Yes.
And it's on, and it's right in front of you. Excellent. Okay, good.
Okay, good morning. I think Gina gave you a couple of sheets of our enrollment. And if you'll take the first one that has a lot of numbers on it, there is, you'll notice there's a column after the 12th grade at the top that says current year. And our enrollment as of yesterday was 18,285. Now, I'll give you a little history on that. Pre-COVID, 2019, which at Snapshot, our snapshot date is the last Friday in October. The pre-COVID enrollment was 18,268. In 2020, it dropped to 17,746. In 2021, it went up to 18,174. And this currently is increasing again. And we still have till the end of October to get our enrollment up. And on the prior year, HOG is left out. So the prior year enrollment on this same time is 18,085. So it grew about 85 kids to Snapshot to 18,174. So I expect we'll grow a little more before Snapshot. But you can tell on the middle schools, if you go down the left side, the Hubbard, Moore, and Three Lakes, you can see where the HOG kids ended up, or the majority of them, because of the increases there. And then we had an increase in our high school enrollment also, which is right under that. So overall, it looks like things are trending back up on our enrollment. And the other page is attendance, and this has concerned me some because it's directly tied to our state funding. And last year at this time, the first few weeks of school, we were at 92.61% attendance. But this year, it's increased 2.67% to 95.28. And so that, coupled with our increasing enrollment, we should see more state funding if these numbers hold. So that's a positive note. Any questions?
I'm glad you're positive about the state funding. That's always important. But as an educator, I am excited about attendance, right, because that's how kids learn. Coming to school. And, even though we've got some sickness and some COVID that we're dealing with right now, it's not certainly as extreme. That's probably one reason that we've got a little boost here, is it's not as prevalent.
Right.
It's not as symptomatic, so folks are probably walking around with it even more than they used to. And so that's important, because it also means that we didn't have our teacher attendance on here. but it means our teacher attendance has improved as well. So that's what we said. Whenever we were doing all the interviews for the great year that we had last year academically, said, what do you attribute this to? People coming to school, whether it was the kids coming to school or the teachers coming to work. That's what makes the difference. That's what's made the difference this last time for us. And so, obviously, very happy about the funding, but more excited about student attendance coming to school every day.
Okay, any comments or questions for Ms. Bjork or Dr. Crawford? Okay, thank you. Appreciate the report. Okay, now we have a little internal audit service annual audit plan for 2022 and 2023. Up for our approval.
Mr. President, the audit committee, including Mrs. Atkins and myself, have reviewed the results of the risk assessment and the audit plan, and we recommend the board consider approval of the audit plan.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can come on up, Ms. Coker, if you want. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about the audit plan before we take the audit committee's recommendation and approve it? I looked over, it looks good to me.
Okay.
Do you have anything for the board that you'd like to say?
Well, I do. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board members that have served and are serving on the audit committee this past year. Our former chair, Mr. Newsom, thank you. Our current chair, Ms. Harrison, thank you. And our additional audit committee member, Ms. Atkins, thank you for serving on the audit committee, and thank you for all your guidance this year. And I would also like to confirm to the entire board that I am independent of the organization. That's something I have to do every year, so that's the other thing I want to do. And if y'all have any questions on the audit plan, I'm here to answer them. So. Good?
Anybody have any questions or comments? Well, then I'll go ahead and entertain a motion on it.
Okay.
I move that we approve the audit plan.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries, and the audit plan is approved.
Thank you.
This coming year. Thank you, Ms. Coker. Okay, now we will go into executive session. Do we anticipate having any action to follow, Dr.?
I do not anticipate.
Okay, we'll go into executive session.